And what's going on? Fontaine here, VIP Soundlab.com, back on Maschine 2.3, this time with Presonus Studio V3. I was hit up on Facebook from Tavares. He was wanting to know how to get his MIDI tracked out inside Presonus Studio 3. I'm going to show you some tips and techniques, the way that I do it when I want to trick Maschine into routing MIDI a certain way. You know, because there's a way that you can do it, let's say sounds to MIDI notes, when you can have all your MIDI tracked out on C3, which is cool. You know, if you want to trigger MIDI, you know, switching between your groups and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. But what I like to do, I like to have my MIDI tracks all on the individual lanes like this here. Why? Because just for organizational reasons and to be nice and neat. There's certain hi-hat patterns that I want to come back and use at another time. I can do that. I can export the individual stems. Plus there's like construction kits out here if you want to import certain MIDI patterns and you know, things of that nature. It just makes life a little bit easier when you're doing it like this. As you can see right here, I have Maschine set up on the instrument output, all outputs MIDI channel 1, and I'll show you why I have it that way in just a second. As you can see down here, these are the corresponding MIDI channels. All 16 tracks are right there, and those are there for a reason, and I'll also get into that, but we're not going to use those in this video because I have a template for this, and you can go to the website, you can download it for free, and it'll make life easier if you don't want to go through the headache of getting all this set up. So head over to VIPSoundlab.com. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So again, I don't want all my MIDI on one channel. I want everything tracked out. So as you can see right here, I have some drum sounds loaded up. And give me a second just to roll this over a little bit. All right, so as you can see right there, they're all on their own individual lanes. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to record a MIDI pattern in here in Presonus Studio, what you can do is you can go under events here. Okay, you can go to what's called insert instrument part. All right, so when I select insert instrument part, all this is just a fancy name for insert a MIDI clip. Okay, so when I double click on this, you notice how I get the piano roll. Okay, here's your piano roll. Let me go ahead and increase the size on that a little bit, because the default root note is on C3 on the first sound. But you'll notice that when I tap on the keys here, now I'm holding that key. You see how that piano roll key is being held down because I'm holding down the key on my Axiom 61. But as I go up the zone range, you notice how I'm going up the scale, I'm going up octaves. So therefore, doing it like this gives you the ability to have your MIDI tracked out, because it's going to be, you know, mapping out, in other words, how Maschine does it. Now, Maschine defaults mapping MIDI out to C2 because of the new Complete Control series. So they reserve that space. So now when you're slicing audio and things like that, you'll notice that your default MIDI note will be C2. So I don't know, it's a little bit easier that way. You don't have to go through pad mode searching for your slices as much. It's a lot easier now the way that they have it set up. All right, so with that being said, let me go ahead and we'll shrink this back down. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and record a quick MIDI pattern in here. Matter of fact, I need to show you this also, because this is an important tip also. For example, the MIDI notes are not canceling each other out either. Like if I'm tapping on a kick and a hi-hat or snare, you hear that? Okay, now you notice how the MIDI notes are not, you know, canceling each other off. That's an important tip also, because somebody emailed me. They were saying they were trying to get it set up and it was canceling their MIDI notes. So I really don't know what's going on with that. All right, so I can make a pattern like that, but I don't want to do that because I want to show you as many sounds as I can. So therefore, I'm not trying to make a beat, man. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to try to stick as many MIDI notes as I can in here, going down like this to show you that it's going to track out all the MIDI. So let's go ahead and do that. Starting from C3. All right, I'm going to erase this on the mic because that's just me and the mic. I don't need that. All right, so here's the MIDI pattern right here. Okay, and if I want to put it on time, I'll just stretch it out like this. Again, I'm just trying to show you how it's mapping out. You notice how these MIDI notes are going up the scale. This last one here is an extra MIDI note because I was tapping on my MIDI controller. That's a MIDI note that will not trigger. So if I tap on this, and let's zoom in on that. A little bit like this here. That E4, that's a note I don't need because if I go here, you see there's no sound on that. So that can be erased. And Presonus immediately sounds off to the last MIDI note, which is that one. Okay, so whether tapping on it like this, or using my MIDI controller, the MIDI is tracked out like this. Okay, so you can come in here and if you want to do any of your editing of your MIDI notes, you know, you have various smart tools up here, you know, slicers and pencil tools, erasers and all that good stuff. But I'm not going to really get into that because that would be more of a Presonus Studio tutorial. All right, so I'm going to shrink this down. Now, you're going to say, okay, what's the point to this? This is the exact same thing if I had all my MIDI notes on C3. Well, actually, it's not because this is going to give you the ability to have their MIDI notes tracked out on these individual stems. So in Presonus, you have a really great feature in here when you go under events and scroll down to what's called explode pitches to tracks. Okay, very important. So when I select explode pitches to tracks like this here, boom, Presonus does the work. Okay, and as you can see right there, all the MIDI tracks are now separated and flowing very smoothly. So now when I hit the rewind button here and press play, let me see if I can keep up with this. Matter of fact, let me shrink this down because if I don't shrink this down, it's going to be very hard to see. I'm going to put it like this here and rewind it and push play. All right, did you see that? This first instance, I don't even need, let me see, because I had it set up when I was recording some, I was doing some different things with automation and stuff like that. So that one we really don't even need. But what's important here is you notice how the mappings are there. Here's C3, C number sign 3, D3, D number sign 3, E3, F3, F number sign 3, G3, and so on and so on and so on, all the way down to D number sign 4. It should be it, D number sign 4. So again, now your MIDI's tracked out. Again, if I press rewind here and press play, okay, if I go, let's say, to my console view, we can see the notes here. So you can imagine how that also makes life easier if you're mixing your sounds and you want to get in here and you want to adjust the levels of your audio, of your individual stems. It makes life easier. You don't have to sit there and run back to Maschine, you know, the hardware controller and all that good stuff. You have all this right here for your mixing needs to get your levels perfectly EQ'd, perfectly leveled and things of that nature. Well, I'm not going to say EQ'd, but you can control your levels from here, which makes life a lot easier. Now you can, you know, set up your buses and things like that, you know, the audio tracks and things of that nature for bouncing your audio to disk. All right, so that's pretty much how you get that set up. And I hope that that helps you out, man, because again, this is a great resource when you want to have your audio tracked and stemmed out and things of that nature. Plus another great tip, for example, let's say if we bring the piano roll back up, another important feature of this being that you have everything tracked out. On Presonus, you can right click on the MIDI pattern, okay, and then you have different options in here. For example, there's one down here under your musical, wait, not your musical functions, but I think it's your instrument parts, okay, operations specific to instrument parts. You have Okay, let's say export MIDI, or rather export music loop. Okay, if you had everything on C3, this might be a benefit, but again, it makes it hard to see your MIDI notes like that. So what I like to do a lot of times when I'm exporting stems, I like to use export parts to MIDI file. That way I can have everything nice and neat for organizational reasons. If there's a certain hi-hat pattern, if there's a certain snare pattern or kick drum pattern, you have everything set up perfectly that way. All right, so this is the Presonus side of things, and I hope that helps you out, Tavares. And again, I'm glad that you requested this tutorial video, man, because we all help each other out like that. Because, you know, a lot of times I make tutorial videos and I do the basics because, you know, I feel people have a good understanding for that. But like this, it's also good because it makes me go into certain aspects and certain areas that I might not be aware of, that certain people might be having trouble with. So again, hats off to you, man, for pointing that out, because again, I'm sure that this video will help somebody out, and there's probably producers out here who will enjoy this workflow. Okay, and if you notice, matter of fact, I'm gonna go up just a little bit here. Let me go to the first track because I want to show you how the explode feature automatically maps out those MIDI channels. Now, what's neat here, if you notice how it has the instrument output channel 1. Okay, all inputs under instrument input. And again, they're all in the same channel. Again, why? Because that's the way the new Maschine 2.3 is now. Every MIDI sound, or rather each sound in Maschine, like when you're tracking out audio or dragging and dropping audio, things like that, every sound has its own individual MIDI lane. Okay, so therefore, for you to get an understanding of why this is tracking out, why it's still on MIDI channel 1, I know that's got you scratching your head. You're like, how is that even possible? Again, there's ways you can trick Maschine into doing its job the way that you want it to do. So let me go ahead and click on this instrument icon, and let's bring Maschine over here. And again, I'm using my Axiom 61 in this tutorial video. And again, this is the Maschine 2.3 update. So let me go over here to the zone map. Now, as you can see right here, here's the sounds. Now, if you notice, remember back in the day when we had the sounds to, the sounds to MIDI Batch feature, which I thought was cool because you can just go in there and you can type in your MIDI notes and program it in, which is, you know, was a lot quicker, in my opinion, if you're doing certain workflows. Like over here, I'm using under group MIDI Batch setup, I'm using sounds to MIDI channels. Okay, so therefore it's mapping everything out on its individual lane. Look up there where it says, okay, here's your channel properties, your sound. So this doesn't confuse anyone. Okay, under group, okay, here's your input. Never worry about the output. It's not going to make any difference. Under group input MIDI active channel 1. Every one of these sounds down here is on channel 1. Okay, so when it explodes, okay, everything's on channel 1. So therefore it means, okay, here's all your MIDI channels. Here's all your MIDI channels. Channel 1, everything over here, channel 1. If that makes sense, I hope that makes it easier to understand. Again, MIDI channel 1, everything here, this is all MIDI channel 1. Okay, everything over here, this is all MIDI channel 1. But where the routing comes in, like right here, your root note, all this is set. Okay, that's C1. Okay, see that? It's not set to C3. Okay, which is what's making this possible, in other words. So again, group input MIDI active channel 1. Under sound, here's your inputs and here's your outputs. So that's it. I mean, it's that easy. You know, you just think inputs, outputs. That's it. You got sound MIDI input, you got out, and you got your output there. Okay, so under sound input active channel 1, this is where the tracking comes into play. MIDI channel 1. Okay, you see that? Notice over there, look to the right over here, see? See how they're all going up? Okay, this right here is what's called C3. This is C number sign 3. This is D3. This is D number sign 3. E3, F3, F number sign 3. G3, G number sign 3, you know, and on and on and on and on and on, all the way to the last one, D4. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you. I tried to slow that down as slow as I can do it on the camera, so you can see that. See how they're all, they're not. It's not, everything okay like this. Okay, it's not set like this. Okay, and then with the let me grab that little note down there. With that on C3 like that. Nah. Because if you have it like this, it's just gonna go up and down your scales when you tap on your piano roll. You don't want that. All right, so put that back on C3. Okay. And have it set up like this. All right, you do each one like that. All right, so what you got to do basically is, get in there and put in the wrench time, and if you know me, I'm the type of producer where, I make templates and things like that from my VIP members. So if you come over to www.vipsoundlab.com, you can download this this template as a time saver, and you can skip through the wrench time of, doing this here. Again, I missed that feature of Maschine when we had the sounds to MIDI notes feature when you could type it in. That was a lot easier because you could just go in there and just type away like this. You got to, do it individually, but it's not too bad. Okay, I want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. So let's review again your sounds. Okay, they're all on their individual MIDI notes as they should be here under sound, input, active, MIDI channel 1. Okay, the output under MIDI host. This is the important part as far as the everything being tracked out, because it's transposing up the octaves like this here. You notice how the destination is the host, meaning it's going to Presonus Studio 3. Okay, channel 1, there's a transpose. It's at 0, and it goes up to 2, corresponding with 2. Transposing to 3, corresponding with MIDI channel 3. Transposing up to 4, corresponding with MIDI channel 4. Transposing, you get it. Transposing to 5, going up to MIDI channel 5. Again, I have to do it like this because there's people who don't, understand that. Okay, so transpose 6, MIDI channel 6. Also look on sound 6. So you notice it's really easy. It's basically everything that you need to know is already there in front of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to 16. Just make sure all this matches here. It's like, just think of it like a rainbow. It's just like, boom, from here all the way across. Okay, then you go here all the way across. 2, 2, then you go here 3, 3, all the way across. So the answers are always right in front of your face. When you go to 4, 4, 4, 4, you see that? So that ends the headache and the nightmare of that. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, man, because again, I'm trying to do it in a way that makes it easy for everybody to understand, because I was getting the emails on that, and I was thinking away. I was sitting in my lab. I was like, how can I make this really easy to understand? And I don't think it can get no easier than that. And then I have the template files. So, you just download those and you can open them up and you can look at all this, and, everything's done anyway. All right. So that's pretty much it. It's your boy Fontaine, VIPsoundlab.com. Be sure to come by the website, www.vipsoundlab.com. We hire a lot of independent sound designers to bring you guys some banging drum samples. So be sure to come by. If you want to give your lab some banging drum samples, head over there and pick up some of the kits and as well as some of the expansions. A lot of the expansions that we have are pre-tagged and filtered, so you can get in there and, get everything set up. Matter of fact, when I go into my library here, for example, here's some of the pre-tagged and filtered drum kits that we do have on the site. Everything is nice and neat and, and organized, and it makes life easier when you can get in there and everything's, pre-tagged and filtered. We also have some preset effects chains. We have a couple of mastering chains. We have one for Isotope Ozone 6. We have those presets in there. And again, all this is free. It doesn't cost you anything, man. So we have some preset drum, we have some plug-in drum preset packs as well for the new effects that's in Maschine. Because, let me see. We have the new, actually, I'm in Maschine. Yo, what the heck? Okay, I'm not really sure. Okay, here's the new reflex module here. That's one of them. I'm not sure. Okay, maybe because I have Maschine open in a plugin. Okay, this is something new for me. I'm learning something actually on this video with you guys. the cabinet is missing here. Like the cabinet is missing. It's not saying legacy under the reverbs, and it still has everything separated. These reverbs are supposed to be together. Okay, now that's really, really weird. Okay, I learned something new today. Yeah, the cabinet is gone. It's not on there. Okay, that's weird. I'm going to have to ask Native Instruments about that. All right, so I'm about to get on the phone with Native Instruments and see why when Machine's open as a plugin. I would imagine because I have Machine open, you know, basically as the standalone, you might as well say, but it's still in the plugin version. But they have the Machine file where it's Machine effects. I'd imagine maybe if I open it up as Machine effects, the cabinet would be there and all that good stuff. But I don't know, that's kind of weird. But anyway, back to the tutorial. All right, we have drum preset packs that's set up for, you know, different analog modes. The Muhala mode, which is basically from the control room of Guitar Rig. We have different reverb modes such as Hall plate, reverb, and all that good stuff. So some of these are from some of the cabinets, because some of the cabinets have like 412s and there's different microphones. You know, you can adjust the distance for the microphone, and you can grab different ribbon mics and condenser mics and, you know, add a little color and character to your drums. And we also have a mastering chain here. This is a professional mastering chain that I got my hands on. And the cool thing about this, the order that is set up when you open it up, it makes life really easy. You have to do really like little to no tweaking to get your sounds mastered, because the way that the chain is set up in a specific order. And again, this is for waves, and it gives you, wow, man, an incredible sound. Trust me on that. So if you haven't downloaded these templates, make sure you come by the website and download these now. And again, they're all for free. All right, so this is your boy Fontaine, VIPSoundlab.com. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.